typical disgusting display.
Oh, tonight we got 'em. Goldie, the Sulk, and JC.
The typical disgusting display. And it starts right now.
Oh, welcome back. Goldie's making faces already. I love
It's great.
I get that silly energy this morning.
I'm just looking at myself in the Zoom, and I'm just kind of going, how can I just mix this up and be anything other than myself right now?
First joke of the day.
Well, you succeeded because you know what? And it worked.
It really
Like,
did.
I was like, wow, I'm happy that Goldie seems so happy.
I just wake up every day, and I really do say to myself, like, surely I'm not going to still be bald today.
Second joke of the day.
Like, that would seem just
cruel and unusual.
Yeah.
Well, I think you look great. Yes, welcome back to another episode of A Typical Disgusting Display, a podcast for writers by writers who hate writing. Today, we're excited. We're going to be talking to our old friend Craig Kilborn, talking to him about the NBA playoffs, his life gorgeous, what it is to be the face of a franchise. So we can't wait for that. And
I did have to do some writing this weekend, and I just wanted to briefly tell you about one thing.
Ooh,
Go ahead.
Yes.
My new difficulty with this.
yeah.
Oh.
And this happened, I swear that no matter how much I typed into this document, it never got longer.
Oh, no.
Like I was in a Black Mirror episode about a writer
Wow.
where I'm out for a walk and I'm jotting down thoughts to get in the script, or I'm thinking of a joke and I'm like, I need to put it in, or I'm thinking of a line. And I swear to God, hours and hours I'm typing, and it was 8 pages.
Wow.
For 3 days.
Wow.
No. Were you
God.
ever deleting anything?
No, I never delete anything. Well, why would I ever delete anything if it's in there? Who gives a shit?
It's like that. I forget what the shot is called. They use it in a bunch of movies. It's like a rack zoom or something. It's like where the camera is sliding back but zooming in. So
Oh,
it
yeah,
gives
that's
you
cool.
that impression of like not moving anywhere but getting
Right.
close. Oh, that sounds
you.
frustrating. So did it ever get longer?
Yeah, it did.
Okay, phew.
But I mean, I
It was
I
torturous.
swear it was like whether it was 8 or 11 pages. It was just I was there for days.
That's frustrating.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
I know less each time I do it.
The more you
That's
write.
a good message to writers. Well, speaking of frustration, we were talking about this a little bit before the show. I made some flip joke last week when we had the lovely Kate Walsh on, and I sort of shit on our previous guest, Travis Bowe, by saying, oh, this week we got, no offense, Travis, we have a real star. Kate
Yeah,
Walsh.
shame on you.
Yeah, I know. So to the universe paying me back, we get our weekly report of how many people are listening to the show. Travis Bowe dunked on Kate Walsh. So
Well-
it's like, I don't know anything anymore about
Go,
how this
Travis.
works, what's going to happen, or why it happens. So in my go ahead, Goldie, you have something to say about
Maybe
that.
we're better at breaking stars.
than making them.
Yeah, that we when we make stars. No,
Yeah.
we make stars. But if someone brings their star to us, we don't know what to do with it.
Yeah,
Right.
That could be. Yeah, and
Also-
who knows? Maybe Travis can't walk down the street now. He's so popular in whatever little near the airport
He's
community
so
he
famous.
lives in.
I think maybe her listeners aren't podcast listeners and our listeners are comedy writers. So
Okay, well, this feeds in well to my next point,
Oh.
JC. I'm glad you brought that up. So if her listeners are not podcast listeners, what then are they listening to? Well, I like to think it's a little old-timey invention that our parents and grandparents loved called the radio. I'm still a big radio guy. I know that it seems like an antiquated form of communication, but I have been talking for a few weeks on this show about how I think we should come up with a radio ad for this podcast.
right. Okay.
And so I would like to talk for just a few minutes right now about what we think that might sound like. Like what do we want to highlight in a 30-second radio ad that would be broadcast to boomers on Cape Cod?
Can we digress for a second about radio?
Yes,
because
please.
it's interesting. I was watching the Hulu Bon Jovi documentary this weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm through only the first part, but
So you're halfway
basically, I didn't know this, but there was no band Bon Jovi. Basically, Bon Jovi had been kind of interning at this studio that his cousin worked at or something and recorded Runaway. Yeah. And then was trying to shop Runaway to record companies. They didn't want it. And then he said, I'll just call radio stations because those guys are sitting there by themselves and try to get them to play it.
Right.
And it just so happened one of the people he called was like looking to do a local talent thing, started playing Runaway on the air. People started requesting it. People liked Runaway. And then he had to then form a band to like perform Runaway. So that's why the band is called Bon Jovi, because it was just Runaway. But anyway, it made me nostalgic for a time when radio mattered watching this. Like, I do remember hearing stuff on the radio for the first time and, like, really caring what the top 40 were. And as we got to the top 10, having a very strong opinion.
Yes.
Yes.
So can we dig into...
Tap into that.
That, whatever that is.
I know.
But it's like...
That's
it's
the goal.
like you're tapping someone on the shoulder at a restaurant where they're happily eating and going, hey... Why the fuck are you eating here? Come eat at this place 20 miles away. It's different. There's a hurdle there because we're trying to take repeated compulsive behavior of someone in their car or I don't know if anyone still listens to a transistor radio, how fucking backwards you would have to be to do that. But
we celebrate the radio's choice.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh my God.
But to then we're going to I don't know how long radio ads are. I mean,
30 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much do they cost? Do we have a ballpark here?
Yeah, it's going to be, it's depending on how you look at it, it's either crazy expensive or not that expensive. It's like, I think it's somewhere like around $5,000 to $7,000.
For a good time slot.
And that repeats. It's not like you get that per play. It's like to submit a commercial that then goes into their rotation. I looked a little bit of this up for the iHeartRadio people, and it's like $5,000 to $7,000.
Okay. Would it be easier and just as realistic for us to record a hit song?
Well, you're probably
right. Listen
this.
to our podcast.
Well, no, what we should do, and I've been seeing a lot of this on YouTube recently about like, hey, you want to find a way to make $15,000 a month? You know, like all those people who give those little things. But one of the things that I keep hearing is record covers of the top 10 songs of today.
Me too. That's weird.
And then they get sort of looped into rotation. And then eventually when you release your own original, you have people that are already trafficking, all of your covers.
That's interesting because that is such a throwback to the 1950s where it was like everyone would record their little 45 of the hit song. But it also that guy you sent me an Instagram clip of, his name is like Matt Sibelia or something.
Oh, yeah.
Who's a musician who's great, and he's just sort of doing Bittersweet Symphony. I imagine he has originals as well.
Yeah.
But he clearly found a sort of fun way to perform covers, although I thought you would then have to pay for those. Like, I didn't know you were just allowed to record any song you wanted to.
As long as you don't make money off of it, you can do...
the whole goal is to make money off of it.
Right, but
I think also it's like the original writers of it maintain the rights to it, so that they'll get. I don't know how that works.
Yeah,
but maybe they
so
get
I don't know. Do you want to record
royalties.
a cover of, say, China Grove?
That's not a top 10 song today.
of today.
Today.
Yeah, today I could not name one.
What if we did Hey 19?
Like Cappuccino or something.
That's a hard song. That's a hard song to do. But I would love to do it.
Very complex.
I love
Cuervo go.
That'd be fun.
Let's take 3 years and get adept enough to record Hey 19.
Master all the key changes of a Steely Dan song.
Right, and also like he had the greatest session musicians of all time. So like,
I know,
we really have
always.
to work hard.
Yeah, Goldie, right. I think we texted about this I don't know why Hey 19 brought me to this, but one of the greatest albums, I know you and I both love it, and JC, I think you do too, is Van Halen's 1984.
Yeah.
Just a total kick-ass album. One of the songs on there is called I'll Wait, which is a great song. It's an awesome keyboard intro and great drums. Great song. I learned like last week, Michael McDonald co-wrote that song with them.
Oh, I love Michael.
Wow.
Let's do a Michael McDonald song. I love Michael
Now,
McDonald.
this feels like if I was trying to do radio stuff, I'd go, he was last week years old when he learned that Michael McDonald. Like, it just feels like when you're drawn into that stupid, cheesy.
God, I don't want that.
Expressing yourself.
POV, me learning that Michael McDonald wrote this song. My daughter now speaks in internet phrases where
That
she
makes sense.
always throws out POV, me be like, and I'm like, oh,
Me be like, wow.
it's just insane.
She's
the shorthand
keeping you
that's
current.
developing. But let's get back to this. So the idea of a radio ad, 30 seconds. What would we say? Like, first of all, what is our podcast?
Who are we?
What are we
What
doing?
is anything?
I know.
So is
But
it
maybe
like-
that's how we lead it.
Because we have consistent. Here's the consistency that we have, right?
Yes.
We've got the Johnny jokes. Do you miss Johnny Carson? Do you if you're trying to go for a demographic?
What a specific pitch.
I know. Well,
But do you just
Top
try to grab their
5.
attention by going like, hate Trump, love Biden, hate Biden? And now that I have your attention, I don't
Well,
like.
it's interesting that you bring that up because I thought of that in just kind of the opposite way, where it's almost like you'd start the ad off by being like, are you tired of listening to news and politics? Do you want to hear two guys from Family Guy just laugh with each other? That kind of a thing. Well, we have a show where we talk about our journeys through Hollywood over 50 plus years of it, whatever. It's not as exciting, but I think we need to find like some kind of a hook for it, like something interesting about the ad itself.
Would we be better off just doing a jingle?
Oh my God, how fun.
Thompson's Clam Bar. Or
Yeah,
a
because
Town
those are
Fair
the things that
tire.
stick
You
in
write
your
great
head.
ones,
Because I don't
too.
know, if I just hear our voices going, hey, you should check out this podcast, like the conversion rate is going to be nothing.
I
'Cause
hear what you're saying.
It's just something you're hearing about. I don't know. I'm just skeptical
But the thing is,
of getting an ROI, as we say on Shark Tank.
What is that? Yeah. Return on
investment.
investment. I got it. I was hearing ads for podcasts on the radio, which
Okay.
obviously.
What were they doing?
Well, that's the thing, and they were interesting, and maybe it's because I was, I guess, slightly interested in the subject matter. It would be like murder, Dateline-y type
Right.
things. Or even somebody, I forget, there was another one about like how to do stuff, and just
What
even
if we just say a murder case unlike any you've ever? We just lie.
we
You just say a podcast about a murder so evil and sophisticated that runs all the way to the highest levels of government that will blow your mind.
I'm
that is almost genius.
Typical.
Yeah.
Disgusting display.
may not be about actual murder.
Well, then that's like those vans that are like the birds control us. Like you're just going, all right, well, what these people are doing something what?
Right.
Like that's
That's
an angle
interesting.
that
Yeah,
could
like-
work.
A murder on Cape Cod so grisly that you've never heard about that goes all the way to the highest corridors of power.
a Family Guy.
Stand down! Like we just have like fake real audio we put.
Yeah. At this time, we have no suspects.
I am going to hold you in contempt.
Yeah. A corrupt
You can't
legal
handle
system.
I'm in
Truth.
contempt. That's it. We just do a fake courtroom.
I think we would sound insane. But is there maybe oh God, because now I'm torn. I'm torn between just doing something insane like that or doing something that's
I'm just
kind of
incapable of being serious and sincere for 30 seconds.
I know. Well then, it's like
write a sketch.
Ugh.
You love that idea.
oh my, don't you know the whole tagline of this podcast? We don't like writing even this idea.
But I mean, doesn't this point to it's interesting because it's, we could definitely do a rebrand overall, as I've discussed with you.
Okay.
Yeah,
what would that be?
I don't know.
That would be season 2 as a rebrand.
No, that's like season 4 now
I know,
at this point.
these are long seasons.
All right. Well, by the way, this has been a very good glimpse behind the curtain. I know we wrote a scene once on here and it went like pretty smoothly, but this is a much more realistic view of how to come up with an idea because we didn't come up with anything.
I mean, look, could you do a parody of sort of, I don't even know what radio ads are like now, especially down there. I'm kind of out of it. But could you do like a typical disgusting display, ATD? God, my brain's gone. ATDD. So you go ATDD, like we're a radio station.
Yeah.
It's like not a radio station, but the hottest podcast. But like I would
like
never,
that.
if I heard that, I'd hate it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, but I like your idea of like some kind of jingle earworm like Town Fair Tire or, Thompson's Clam Bar. Just one of those things that there's one.
Cars for kids.
Yeah, there's one. I listen to the station on the Cape all the time and there's one that just goes glass. Cape and Islands glass. Like I'm just it's stuck in my head all summer. So maybe we do come up with something.
Do we do like a Weird Al version of something that's on the Cape, like podcast? It's a new podcast. It's like a take on a take.
Hey, where are you going? I'm going to my favorite podcast. Oh, God. All right. Well, you know what? At least we started talking about it.
It just is. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough when you're talking about real money changing hands.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's worth exploring more, and we'll explore it offline and see what we come up with.
If we explore it offline, we come up with a few jingle ideas, we'll play them here.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh,
Right.
and whatever.
Hey, if someone wants to send in a jingle,
please
we
feel
would
free.
play it.
Or if you want to send in a suggestion for what you think our ad should be, just write us at atypicaldisgustingdisplay@gmail.com, and we'll read those out. I'm sure they'd be funny. Something that's slightly less funny, part of the show we like to call Johnny Jokes.
Whoa, do you miss Johnny Carson? From Hollywood, here's Johnny's.
Oh, there we go.
Do you miss Johnny Carson?
A simple question. The answer, who is Johnny Carson? All right, let me burp before I start. There it is. All right, please leave that in. All right, a German home where Beethoven once lived is up for sale.
Oh.
For sale, huh? Seems like a good candidate for a lease.
Wow, that is a deep cut.
Here we go. Maybe you heard this story. A new vice presidential candidate has emerged for former President Trump, and it's Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton. And while the senator is white, Trump feels picking cotton may help him with black voters.
Oh my God.
Sorry. And a sad story. Betty Nash, the world's oldest serving flight attendant, has passed away at the age of 88.
He gone!
Oh, she gone.
Yeah, she is now free to move about the coffin.
Oh.
That's very good.
Thank you. And I'll end it with a two-parter. I should have ended with another one. NBA Hall of Famer Bill Walton has passed away at the age of 71.
He gone!
Oh.
And while friends and family are devastated, they added he's now up in heaven annoying the hell out of Jerry Garcia with stories about Larry Bird. Yeah.
I thought you were going to go the simpler path of, well, he always was a fan of the dead.
This is my tag.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Pretend I didn't do that.
No, leave it in, because this is also something that happens in comedy. My tag, which is actually helped by you foretelling it. Walton was known for following the dead. Guess he finally caught up.
Yeah, that's better. That's good. I'm declaring you the winner of this week.
No. Johnny, too. Take it away.
The thinnest of soups, the weakest of broths. Here we go. Well, King Charles and Prince William have canceled all royal appearances for the foreseeable future. The move threatens to leave millions of people unwaved at.
See, I love that. That's so you.
Because of a roadkill epidemic on the 101 freeway, Los Angeles has opened the world's largest wildlife bridge.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's why
The
they're
bridge
doing
is already backed up 2 hours with mountain lions.
These are great. You asshole.
Yeah.
That's just a good fucking blue chip joke.
These are all blue. These are bleh chips. Cracker Barrel stock plummeted after the CEO said the restaurant isn't as relevant as it once was. But he has a plan to change all that. Have the restaurant fuck Taylor Swift.
Oh my God.
Crack her barrel.
Oh my God.
On June 26th, Mexico City could run out of water.
Whoa.
Yeah, at that point, officials are still warning travelers not to drink the nothing.
These are great. These are great.
And finally, women are now paying thousands of dollars to participate in rage rituals where they go to the woods and scream, shriek, cry, and break things. Participants say it's a nice break from doing it at home.
Thank you.
Got him. You are so hard on yourself. Oh my God. Those were great.
I
Those were
came so
hilarious.
close this week to begging. I'm looking at the news. The news is as bad as it's
Depressing.
ever been
Really
for doing
bad.
this.
Yeah.
Right.
So
It's true. It's
the,
tough.
the stories, you just go like, well, the globe is boiling.
Yeah, right.
The globe is boiling.
but an old stewardess died.
Right.
All right, folks. Oh, if you're longtime listeners of this podcast, you know how special our guest today is to us. He's been here before. God bless him for coming back. You know him from Sports Center, The Daily Show, most natural host in late night history, most seamless launch in late night. But lately, his Instagram has just gone apey. He's living his best life. He's now the face of the Minnesota Timberwolves. We're going to talk to him about that now. Folks, please welcome Mr. Craig Kilborn.
The life gorgeous.
I was doing my inner peace. Good morning, sunshines. This is exciting. First of all, I love the mood lighting that Alec creates. It takes hours to create that mood lighting.
It's the first
Thank
podcast in noir. Yes.
I beat you to it. That's great.
How you do that?
I only look good in like 30% light. That's my maximum on this. And Craig, speaking of looking good,
Yeah.
you've got a Papa Hemingway thing going now. Is this what the beard looks sensational?
And the
What's
skin,
going on with the beard?
flawless.
Something new.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I didn't trim it. I because you guys always say yours is just audio, but
Yeah.
It's going
probably
on.
have to trim it a little bit. I don't like shaving, and I haven't shaved for 25 years. I just do a trim I don't do it with a blade anymore, which is
Yeah.
nice, which irritates the skin. I just trim it up with a little electric razor.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Yeah, because the
tight.
skin is great.
It's
pristine.
amazing.
Is there maybe a Kiehl's avocado product or
Yeah, is there an egg yolk involved?
People always ask me about my skin. I'm just they used to ask about my hair, now it's my skin. And I'm saying, why don't you guys talk about my blue eyes? That's all I really care about.
Yeah, they
Limp
take
it,
that
limp
for
it
granted.
Let me
blue.
ask, because I know you're a Paul Newman aficionado. I understand he used to just dunk his face in a bowl of freezing water every night for a couple minutes. Is that something
Wow.
you've considered? It's
Cold
just-
water is good for your skin. I happen to have, there was this girl I know, and I hadn't seen her in a few years, and we were having coffee, and she said, I just don't understand your pores. They're so tight.
They
But
are.
as we do stream of consciousness, Paul Newman, I love The Verdict. I mean, absolutely love. Rewatch it
Love.
over and over again.
My favorite movie of his.
I wanted to be a nurse. I just love when
Yeah.
I care about her. But I actually watched HUD, and you guys probably haven't seen it, but Paul Newman is great in HUD, HUD. Great movie.
I
Yeah.
Finally watched it.
I have not seen HUD.
Yeah, you would like it.
I hear the title all the time.
Yeah.
But it feels like homework.
Yeah. People say that. I don't understand homework. They're these people. My running joke with you guys and others out here in Hollywood is how many times have you seen Gary Oldman in The Darkest Hour? And one of my friends said, it seems like homework.
Sorry to bring up that memory for you.
Oh my God.
Well, I feel like we're dancing around it because there's a mood here. I wouldn't call it a heaviness. Ooh. I would call it, there's just a damper on things. I feel like as a Minnesota Timberwolves super fan, and we don't know what the situation will be when this comes out, but we're down 0-3 here.
Oh.
And how is this affecting you personally?
I have a good attitude because I'm able to disassociate. And I remember when I think it was Goldie, honestly, he said about 12, maybe 14 years ago, because I had to watch all the Wolves games. This was the Randy Foy, Al Jefferson years when we win 20 games a year out of 82.
Yeah. Wally.
And Goldie's like, I think it's really admirable that you're loyal to that team. It's admirable. But we didn't have a team in the NBA in the 1970s. We had the Golden Gopher basketball team with Kevin McHale and Michael Thompson and a guy named Ray Williams, and we were good in the Big Ten. But so I was an NBA fan for so long. I was addicted to the NBA, and then in '89, I had already left Minnesota, but the Timberwolves came into existence.
Yeah,
and I'm just grateful we have a team. Now, the fact that we're one of the top teams, of course, I want to win. But I'm realistic, and I did not think we would beat Denver. I thought Denver was the better team. I didn't give us a chance on Game 7, so it was like a miracle that they won that game. And we're not playing obviously well against Dallas, even though the games are tied with 2 minutes left. But historically, this regular season, our weakness has been our crunch time offense, and it's proving that again right now.
Oh, God. Well, they've been so fun to watch this year. I mean, I remember a few months ago, Goldie, we were talking about NBA stars, and Goldie threw out Ant's name, and I was like, why are you throwing out Ant's name? But now by the end of the season, I see it. I mean, he's incredible. So fun to watch. Now,
and it just goes to show people don't want to hear it from a bald guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I can say the right thing early.
Yeah, who said that?
And it just becomes lost. And like I heard someone say, and it's like, no, you heard me say. But
I know you threw out your hairpiece, but you ever think about getting one just when you want to say significant things and maybe people will listen to you?
That's
just put it on and Goldie's serious now. He's wearing his hairpiece.
He's got something
they'll
to
never
say.
make them cheap enough, accessible enough, and good enough for us bald people to, just re-engage in normal society. But like it's such a, we will have flying cars before we have cheap available hair pieces.
Oh, that's
it would be funny. I'll just pitch this for you guys because you guys are comedy writers. There's a character who has a hairpiece, and if you ever saw, I love this guy. What's the actor's name from Succession? The British guy,
Brian Cox.
Brian Cox. You ever see him in the Bourne series? He has eyeglasses and he takes them off and he puts them on. But what if there was a character where he was dramatically taking off his hairpiece and talking and then putting it back on? And then, when he's very intense, he takes it off and gets an inch from your face to make a point. Anyways. Maybe that's too eccentric.
Well, I'm trying to think of like is it ever beneficial to appear bald? I'm coming up a little short. Like when you take it off, I guess, I don't know if you want to break it to someone that someone died.
Respectfully.
Yeah, that you doff, the national anthem. Like I'm very patriotic.
Take it off during the anthem.
Yeah, if there's a lot of doffing and donning, I think we've done our jobs there. But I want to get back for a minute to Ant.
I'm sorry. Back to the Timberwolves.
Back to Ant.
Great,
we're going to get to the. I know Goldie has a ton of questions about what is it to be the face of a franchise. We're going to get there. But Ant, let's talk about him. Of course, you know what I'm going to talk about. When they won the round against Denver, and he's being interviewed by Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
And Barkley says, hey, I haven't been up to Minnesota in 20 years. And without missing a beat, Anthony Edwards says, bring your ass.
Yeah.
Bring your ass. Which was, and I know you don't work blue. You don't like, you're kind of above that fray. But what did you think in that moment? Because I was watching that and I'm like, that might be one of the top 5 things in Minnesota history away.
Well, I don't know. I get a kick out of the national media now discovering the charisma of Anthony Edwards. He's a special guy. He lost his mom. He lost his grandmother. He was raised by an uncle, I think.
Oh.
And
God, if you had a hairpiece to remove when you said that.
But his personality is authentic. It's real. He said his post-game interviews from his rookie year on. I mean, he talked about after a game, he has to go get his Popeye's chicken, and everyone's saying, no. You got to eat healthy. You got to eat healthy. He has to learn. He came in as a raw physical specimen, not the most fundamentally sound. He's working on his jump shot. He's athletically gifted, but his personality, I'm sure you know the famous one where a couple of years ago when A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez, and Mark Lowry become minority owners on a 3-year plan to become majority owners. And he's kind of touching his hair after the game. I don't know who that is. I don't follow baseball. And then they asked Alex Rodriguez about that. He goes, he's now my daughter's favorite player. So he says the funniest things in interviews, and it's all real and authentic, and he's always upbeat. Yeah, he's a special player. And the other thing is, Karl Anthony Towns irritates a lot of people. He's polarizing. He has a quirky personality. He's kind of weird.
I don't like him.
And he's playing horribly against Dallas. And Ant, 22-year-old, will say he's our best player. Cat's our best player. We got to go. He builds him up. He's a special guy.
He's a special guy. He's a special guy. What do you think? Because people love to make Jordan comparisons. I remember from our days back on the Late Show. I mean, I wouldn't say you don't respect Jordan. You do immensely, but I also think you saw flaws in his game that a lot of people didn't want to talk about with Jordan. So what do you think about the Ant Jordan comparisons?
Well, in some ways it's ridiculous and puts too much pressure on him, but I understand what people are saying is the basketball people who do it are saying, no, he reminds me of Jordan when he maneuvers for his mid-range jump shot. He's so strong. He's such a specimen. He can get the shot off. Yeah. And obviously he flies to the rim. He goes to the rim extremely well, and he shoots with his left and right around the rim. The Jordan comparisons are unfair, ridiculous, but it's also a compliment because he can dominate and go one-on-one and get and maneuver for his shot like Jordan.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
I love him going to the hoop. God, and I mean, in that game 3 loss, unfortunately, he had one of the best in-game dunks.
What do you think of that?
One of the
and
best.
Then he hit 2 jumpers after that. He gets on these little moments where he can go on a run and he plays inspired ball. And no, he's exhilarating. It's just that he is fatigued. I think after they beat Denver game 7. It was a Sunday, and I knew we were going to play them Wednesday at home. And I just said, it's going to be a letdown game. It was too much emotion. And then we had a flat game, even though we could have won, we was tied. And I think sometimes I remember years ago when Dwayne Wade won his first championship against Dirk Nowitzki and the Dallas Mavericks, and it was a close series. Dwayne Wade was phenomenal, 37 a game. And someone said, hey, the one superstar, Dwayne Wade, just outplayed the other superstar, Dirk. I told somebody the other day, even if Cat was playing well, which he has to, and I don't know if he's going to, we don't know what Luka would do. He might be averaging 45 if Cat was playing well. We don't know the adjustment. It's not as simple as, if Cat plays well, we win 3 games. We're up 3-0. But Luka and Kyrie are amazing. And I didn't know this team because we beat them 3-1 in the regular season prior to their big trade. So their trade changed the whole team. They got 2 big guys, and they're just completely different.
So do you feel, when you're in Minnesota, do you feel like you have the pulse of the city?
What a phrase.
I do have a friend, Charlie Swanson, who's a great guy, Minnesota nice, and he's sometimes he drives a Rolls Royce. Now it's a Maybach, and we go whining and dining. He has courtside seats, and I don't know if
Is that who you're sitting with when you go to these
that's
games?
who I'm sitting with, and I don't know if Charlie has the pulse. He has the pulse of what a part of Minneapolis. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because a very successful part of Minneapolis, and we have fun there. But it is good to go back. I'm proud to be from Minnesota, and I do find that it is easier for me, like I said, to disassociate in LA. When we lose, I could tell you guys. I guess I could open up and tell you that it might bother people, but I don't always watch the games. I might follow them on the phone. So I'm going to give you an example and tell me what you think of this. I can go watch train wrecks. I can do things, but I don't like flying. I don't like turbulence. I can do it, but why? Why am I doing it? So Game 7 at Denver, in the second quarter, we went down 11 and Jamal Murray was getting hot. And I said, I'm done. I'm not watching. So obviously I will watch it. If we win, I'm going to go back and watch it. And if we lose, I will sometimes go back and watch because I know what's going on. But I'm not going to do the roller coaster, the ebb and flow. So I took a shower. I said to Princess Cherry, we're going to go somewhere. We're going to go for a drive. I'll check the score. We'll see what happens. And normally we'd drive all the way to Santa Monica or Malibu, but we didn't want to do that. So she says, let's go to Pally House, the Pally Hotel in Culver, which is Culver City. It's called Simonette. Had a martini. They put it in a coupe glass. The guy next to me had Nick and Nora glass. I just asked the bartender why he did that. He gave me an answer. It didn't really make sense. He says, I just want you to get the full, 3 or 4 or 5 ounces, whatever it is. That's a Nick and Nora. I said, I know what Nick and Nora is. You know why it's called that? He goes, no. I go, Thin Man series in the 1930s, Nick and Nora Charles. Anyways, so now I'm just having a vodka. I checked it. Oh, we're down 15 at halftime. Oh, God, we're down 20 in the third. Oh my God, we're down 1 going into the fourth. And I checked the message. I checked there are sports guys from Minnesota who have Twitter accounts, X accounts. Cat's playing well. Oh, Cat, this is a coming of age game for Cat. This is don't blame the refs. These different guys, the guys that I trust are saying this is, And then I said to Cherry, I said, we cannot check the score here in the last 5 minutes. I don't want it because I don't want to see that we're up 3 with 30 seconds left and we lose. I just want an immediate win or loss.
Right.
So I wait. I know when the game started. I know they're 2.5 hours. I wait for 2:40. Might be in overtime. I'm giving you a lot of details.
No, it's good.
And then I'm ready now to check. And before I can get to the score, I have 15 messages, texts, and one of them says, "Congratulations to you and your Wolves." And I go, "We won." And then I go to the score. I go, "We won 9." Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! And then we go home and watch the whole second half, and it's much less stressful. Now, do you think I'm a wimp for doing that, or do you commend me? Let's start with JC.
Yeah.
What do you think of a guy who doesn't expose himself to the stress of sports?
Well, I understand
Arm's length.
it. Yeah. Well, I think that you must get very stressed. That's the only reason why you would step away, because you don't like to feel that rush of cortisol. So you like to stay in your calm demeanor.
Right.
You prefer to be a gentleman instead of a man full of rage. So
Right.
I see that's why you would take that.
You bet your ass.
Bring your ass. Yeah, but
That was a combo, Ant and Robert Evans. You bet your ass.
Awesome.
the Jade Detective Goldie. I have interesting feelings about this because, as you know, I left the Pats Falcons Super Bowl at halftime. I was there.
That's right. Okay, smart.
Well, here's the thing. Of course, they famously ended
But you
coming
were
back and
actually there.
winning. I was there at the game. I left, and I have felt the same way that you do, Craig. Like it's like and JC explained it well. I don't want that roller coaster rush of chemicals in my brain, but I have I'm learning through therapy that this is just a more, it's just the embodiment of me not allowing myself to have feelings. And so
Oh.
I think there's something like I want to now kind of get back into watching full games that I'm stressed about. Like I'll start probably with the NBA Finals.
Right.
And
Celtics.
and
Congratulations.
Thank you. Basketball is the most, you get upset more in basketball than any other sport because there's a reason
Or happy.
every play to say, that's a foul. That's not a foul. That's
Yeah, I
a
know.
travel. What do you know? Every
Bad
play.
calls. Yeah.
Bad
Double
calls.
dribble, yeah.
Donahue. But so I want to open up.
Donahue.
I want to open up the feelings, and even if they suck, kind of deal with them.
You know,
Wow.
if you hadn't walked
Sports.
out of that Super Bowl game,
Butterfly
stress
theory,
level,
right?
it takes down the stress level. You might start drinking, or you might start being a smoker or something.
No, he.
Oh,
I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
if he
I was
gets
trying to do
hold
a
of
smoking
pot,
joke. I wanted
Yeah.
to do a
No,
smoking.
I know. I knew you were.
I didn't have
I
it.
knew
I
what it
couldn't
was.
figure-
This isn't a visual show, but I was giving the what the hell. I just took a
It'll
stray
be
bullet.
on YouTube. It will
Well,
be.
Goldie, let's talk to Craig about being the face of a franchise because
Well,
this is
yeah.
amazing.
This is an entree into just sort of life gorgeous questions because you talked about the Pally House. I feel like it's wrapped up in that the idea of being the face of a franchise. So first, we talked about the Pally House. You said Princess Cherry. You wanted to go to a restaurant. How do you choose a restaurant on any given night? How do you know where to go? Is there a list in your head of 10, 15 places that you know you'll be welcome? Do you research new places? Do you hear about places, or do you know you're welcome at certain places? Like, where do you?
This is a great question because I have favorite restaurants. Obviously, I have favorite ones in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. Two of them are French. They do have some steakhouses out there. So where I live now in beautiful Hancock Park, which I do mention on my Instagram, I live in Hancock Park. I like to obviously go that some are in the vicinity. So, but yeah, it's something we have a list.
I think it's Mid Wilshire. I think it's that breaks at Highland.
Oh, there's a guy, my friend Hank Perlman, when I lived on 57th Street in New York between 9th and 10th or 10th and 11th. And I said I lived Upper West Side. He goes, no, you don't. You live in Midtown. Midtown. You live Midtown. Really bothered him.
He was right.
Really bothered him that I got to say
I would
Upper-
say he
Upper
basically
West
lived
Side.
in Penn Station.
I know. Chelsea Piers. Yeah. Okay. So Hancock Park, Mid
So
Wilshire
you're
border.
avoiding a DUI here. You're within walking.
Yeah.
distance.
So
Yeah,
I
there
go
you
to
go.
Republic. I go to, which I know that
Love that.
Goldie has complained about he's right about the bar stools are wood.
You can't
And,
get
you
comfortable.
could bring a cushion if you wanted to, but yeah. I go to a place called Rayo's in Hollywood, which is 8 minutes away in a drive. I can walk to Republic. I drive to Rayo's. I have there's a place called Osteria Mama. I go there on occasion. Where do we go? Sometimes we try new places like what's it called? The funky one.
Mother Wolf.
Mother Jugs.
Mother Wolf in Hollywood. But yeah,
I went there. I gotta say, it's fine.
Yeah.
They have a big pizza oven anyway, so I went with our friend John Viner.
Yeah.
We get in there and it's kind of busy, and they say, "Hey, do you want to sit by the pizza oven and watch the show?" And so we're like, "Sure."
The show.
So as we are approaching our seats, they hype it up. They're like, "Oh man, you're gonna get to see the show!" And then and the waitress is like, "Oh, you've sat by the pizza oven, so you're gonna see the show." The show is two guys who are not that enthusiastic, just kind of lackadaisically putting pizzas into an oven. I mean, I own a pizza oven. It's nothing.
Right.
So I felt, a bit of a bait and switch.
Right.
That's not what I call a show. I'm in
Right.
show business.
Hello.
But and in any case, back to this super fan thing. So you go to the game, and it seems like you're a signature fan. Like you are.
Yeah. Oh, you betcha.
Because the other sort of big Minnesota fans, you bring a Hollywood cachet, I'm guessing,
Right.
that they don't have. So who are the big fans there?
You betcha. I like when you said that, Alec. That's what I sometimes say. My dad, I was at ESPN, and he came up with a couple home run calls for me. And one of them
Love
was,
that.
Krakatoa, east of Java. My dad, he said, you can also try, even though he said, you can also try, oh, you Betcha. He said you can try that. Even though when we moved from New Jersey to Hastings, Minnesota, my dad said, don't ever talk like the locals. Jimmy Jam, the producer, is a fan.
Oh, wow.
There's a weird thing, which I don't understand, but 50 Cent, for some reason, likes the Timberwolves for a number of years. So he sometimes is courtside for the Timberwolves. 50 Cent,
That's
the rapper that you guys are probably very well versed in.
Oh, yeah.
And then
once I was working on the Spike Video Game Awards back when this was a thing, and I was doing a comedy bit in the audience. I don't remember what, but they said, okay, you're going to be sitting next to 50 Cent. And this was around the time there were a lot of threats on his life. So he's wearing a bulletproof vest. His two security guys, bulletproof vests, and then his entourage, like 2 or 3 more people, bulletproof vests. And then there's me, first person, no bulletproof vest. So I was just sitting there going, I feel like I need a bullet. They're going to fucking try to shoot this guy and they're just going to hit me. Didn't happen.
Wow.
You live to tell the tale.
Anyway.
By the way, Goldie, you texted me during one of the games, and I have to tell you about this because I'm curious.
Yeah.
So my friend Charlie has 4 courtside seats, but he also purchased 2 other ones from somebody for the playoffs. And the 4 courtside seats he doesn't sell because it's part of his company, but the ones he purchased he'll sell. And somehow Jimmy Goldstein got a hold of him through different NBA people, said there might be courtside seats. So he sold them to Jimmy Goldstein, and we had to, I didn't tell you this, I have a picture, but I was trying to be protective of Mr. Goldstein. And I don't really know much.
Who is that?
He's the
that
super
guy
fan
in the silver suit and the and the stupid hat.
He yelled at us. At a game.
And Alec, we were going, I think it was with you, we were going to a Clipper game. You were taking me to a Clipper game. You were driving, and there was this white Rolls Royce from the 60s, and that's Jimmy's car. Yeah. So I'm not fascinated with Jimmy Goldstein. He's a super fan. I think he's in his 80s. And so in Minneapolis, we had to pick him up at the Four Seasons to take him to the game. And my buddy drives a Maybach, so that's fine. But I took a picture that I didn't use because I didn't think it was, I took a picture of me in the seat with Jimmy in the back. It looked funny, and I wanted to post it. But I said to Charlie, I don't think I should post it. He goes, I wouldn't do that because it was too private. Yeah. So I posted a picture of me and Jimmy outside the car. And then Goldie says, I don't like him. I don't like Jimmy. I don't like Jimmy. And because of Goldie, I actually took the picture down after 2 hours.
Thank you.
Why don't you like him?
He yelled at Goldie.
I don't know much about him.
This was pre-fan code of conduct, first of all. The NBA did not have a fan code of conduct. 10, 15 years ago.
Nope.
Wow.
And you were allowed to heckle. We were sitting behind the Oklahoma City Thunder bench. I was teeing off on them. Prolonged rants about Scott Brooks's suit not fitting.
Oh, yeah.
It was unbelievable. Goldie single-handedly won that game for the Clippers. It was back when both teams were really at their best.
Were you drinking that night, Goldie? Or not?
Oh, I had. This was back when Trader Vic's had an outpost downtown. So I had 3 Mai Tais, and I was flying on an alcohol sugar high.
Mai Tais.
Hashim Tabit flipped me off.
Yes.
I made Nick Collison miss a free throw because as he was shooting, I screamed, "Your Twitter sucks." And so Jimmy Goldstein kind of like reprimanded me, and I was like, "Who the fuck are you? Like, your fucking hat sucks. Your hair sucks. Your whole vibe is stupid. You're not friends with the players. They don't like you. You're just someone with money sitting close. Like, you're not a friend of them, so why do you give a fuck if they like you?"
Yeah.
Like, if you weren't, like, they're never going to ask. If you don't show up, they're never going to go, "Where's the fucking idiot in the fucking silver hat?"
Did you?
They don't care.
Did you have a Mai Tai this morning?
No.
Oh, not in years. Clean for years.
It just is. It just. I found. I didn't appreciate getting reprimanded by him.
Yeah. No, he was an asshole in that moment. For sure.
I'm going to go a flashback because I like your intensity. How close were you when you were working for the Late Late Show covering the NBA All-Star Game in LA, the dunk contest? You said you contemplated showering with the players. How close were you actually showering to the players? Did you take your shoes off?
No. Well, they weren't going to shower. What I was going to do was I had an all-access pass, which I really took advantage of to cover the dunk contest. And so my idea for the final bit, the final bit of this piece would be that I would get naked in the locker room while the players were there and start showering in front of them while crying.
While crying.
Because
Oh
I
my
had
God.
already pretended to be British. I had gone and asked them questions as me, and then I'd gone back and pretended to be British because it wasn't going well as me. And then I thought the funniest thing would be if I was just showering
Crying,
in the
though.
locker room, and then I lost my nerve.
Oh, yeah, I understand that.
Boy.
What was the sign? What were the signs you
Natus was
held
all
up?
for it.
What were the signs you held up? You were holding. You know how they do
Oh.
this? The 9 points for a good dunk or 10 points for a good dunk. Didn't you put something?
I had signs. I can't remember what any of them said. I
darn.
believe it's on YouTube. Maybe someone put it
Yeah,
there,
but they weren't numbers. They were words like
yeah.
hello or something like
I
that.
appreciate the effort, but I didn't. The overall result wasn't pleasing to me. It was like they were overly wordy, and there were several index cards, and I was dressed as an English judge, like a barrister.
With a wig and
I mean,
everything?
I really pushed the limits there because they were at one point they were like, "Get the fuck out of here." I was like, okay, you know, like, I knew I had taken it
What a time.
as far as I could.
That's
but,
awesome.
But so Craig, getting back to, because we haven't really, there was just a great article on ESPN.com by
Yeah, I just
I
read
think
that.
Dave McMenamin.
Yeah.
Who wrote it about you being the sort of signature fan of the T-Wolves. And as I mentioned to you, I'm about a quarter of the way through it. It's going to be great summer reading. But
Ladies and gentlemen, it was a very lengthy article.
it was
It is
long. The
really-
article was long. But what is that like? I mean, it must be so satisfying. Obviously, most seamless launch in late night history, satisfying. Check it off.
Right.
You know,
Boom.
best Instagram in the game, satisfying.
Right.
Check it
Check it
off.
off.
But to be the signature fan of the sport you love best in your home city.
Yeah, that's special.
Have you let that kind of soak into your tight pores?
That's why they're so tight.
The weird thing is he had that question written down prior to this.
I did not.
He had tight pores written down on his card. But yeah, I mean, I'm grateful. I I had a happy childhood, and
Yes.
and my neighbor, who's not, he's a friend of mine, but he's not the consistently happy guy like me. He says, yeah, you tell me that at least twice a week you had a happy childhood, which I love, which makes it
him
even more.
angry. Yeah.
But I'm grateful to have grown up there. I'm loyal to the teams. The Vikings have always been talented. The Twins won 2 World Series, and I got to know the coach Chris Finch. I've had dinner with him a couple times. He's a great guy. And I knew Flip Saunders, the late great Flip Saunders. I knew him when I was in high school. He recruited me, actually. He was a coach.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's great to go home. I think they're proud of me for what I've accomplished. It's a little foreign to them because Hollywood. There are only a few guys. It's a little odd that I was able to do go from ESPN to late night.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think there should have been a sentence there in the article. How do you do that?
Yeah.
right.
How do
Yeah.
you do that?
ESPN to late night. It's
Yeah,
not-
well, apparently Goldie and I were cut out as well, so there was
I know.
a lot on the cutting room floor.
And
there.
I mentioned you guys multiple times, but people
some
don't listen.
reason that didn't feel newsworthy.
Yeah.
And no needles were moved. Well, the article wasn't long enough to include us anyway.
So, if you know you're going to be on the Jumbotron, do you have advice for people on how to conduct themselves
Great question.
on a Jumbotron?
Well, first I need to give myself advice because in the past, I thought it was cool if I didn't look in the camera and just kind of look, whatever.
It's funny.
Like, what are you supposed to do?
Right.
And then I see Justin Jefferson doing this.
Yeah.
So then next time I looked in the camera, I think Justin Jefferson did this and did this. So I kind of just did the same thing, because I sometimes think about going, I love you. I don't know,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it's better.
What about
it's probably
this? Get up, like that.
Yeah.
Kyle Rudolph just did that. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't.
Yeah,
do
that's
that.
a little
Craig.
aggressive.
That's not Craig.
Yeah.
If you could you get them for your courtside seats to have a swivel chair so you could spin when they showed you? Like, that
that'd
would
be
be a very
perfect.
Craig move.
Or could
Or
you
toast. You could
approach the
toast.
camera to do one of your trademark zooms, but instead you're like, could you
that would be cool. I like that one.
You could coordinate that with the
You totally
cameras
could.
under the basket. You
Yes.
gotta get that going.
I'll do that in the finals against the Celtics.
Oh, he's calling it.
I
He's
love
calling his shot.
Boom.
I
Four
love
in a
it.
row.
I love it. So what has is there anything that's pissing you off about your team right now, or are you overwhelmingly grateful?
No, you do two things. You're grateful in the big picture, but in the series, you're like,
What do you need for next year?
well, during the season, we always said we needed the third scorer after Cat and Ant. Now, I'm going to be very delicate here. In the past few years, the Cat is polarizing. He does, even when he's hitting his shot, which he's now shooting extremely poorly, he does silly fouls. I think because he has size 22 feet, he reaches, he just slaps down, he reaches, he gets in foul trouble. When he drives, he hooks people. When he drives, he does these things. So it's infuriating for a lot of Wolves fans that he fouls a lot. And they've said, we got to trade Cat. We need to look at the possibility of what we would get for Cat. So that's where I'm at. I'm trying to be delicate here.
Yeah.
The people, because I'm a big Cat fan. And let me say something. I told you I was an NBA fan for 20 years before the Wolves. That means when we trade Ricky Rubio, I rooted for him wherever he went.
Right.
Traded him. He went to Utah, he went to Phoenix, he went to Cleveland. I was happy that Kevin Love won a championship. I was ecstatic that KG got to go to this great franchise and win a championship, the Boston Celtics. If Cat, they say they want him in New York. If we trade him, all I want to know is who are we getting, and I will root for him wherever he is.
Oh,
That's a
lovely.
good attitude.
Yeah.
Do you have a player targeted who you would love to see on the team?
No, and that's what I had my pod yesterday, and I was asking these guys because I don't know who it is. That's why I want to know, because I'm no longer really a basketball nerd where I think about all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the guy yesterday said, would you take Kevin Durant for 2 years and lose Cat for all those years? I said, yeah, I'd take him for 2 years. I mean, he's 35 because it would be fun and we'd lose. And then we'd free up all that money after that, after Kevin Durant was gone. But I don't know who's out there. I don't know how it works. Sometimes I remember a couple of years ago, I know we needed a point guard. I knew D'Lo wasn't the guy. He's too much of a flake. Too cool for school. And I said, I want a young Mike Conley. And then we got Mike Conley.
Right. The actual
The
Mike
old one.
Conley,
Yeah.
the governor.
So I've picked a couple franchises that maybe would be a fruitful target to become the signature fan of. We can discuss how we might approach. The Detroit Pistons at a nadir.
Yeah.
Can we go in? Charlotte Hornets,
Yeah.
Oh,
Utah Jazz.
Okay. Craig would be a good face for the Jazz.
Yeah. Maybe the Sacramento Kings, maybe the Washington Wizards. Because you need to, if we're going to become signature fans, like
What about
it's like
the
you
Clippers?
can't become.
that's what I was.
They already have Billy Crystal and even people
I
like
haven't seen him
Paul
in years.
Shearer ahead of us.
I think I
Of you.
Yeah, I see you
Certainly.
guys more. Did you say Oklahoma City? Because you guys seem to be Josh Giddey fans.
Hey, wait a minute. Them's fighting words. And those charges
But
were
don't
dropped.
like the thing about becoming a signature fan at this point is, aren't there people there with oil money who like we just can never vault in front of?
Yeah, but you don't get to be a signature fan just because of money.
Money.
Like you have to have some kind of cachet, which we also don't have. But Craig
But I mean,
has
we need
that.
to go somewhere where we can get courtside seats. We can afford them. That's like the first step.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma City's too good. Whereas like, I imagine like Charlotte Hornets courtside seats, we could maybe start getting it like $300.
Yeah.
And then we can start being there. And then once we're there,
Right.
what is it that we do?
Yeah, we'd have to come up with a bit.
Yeah.
Timberlake is a minority owner of what team? Do you guys know that or not?
The Grizzlies?
No.
Yeah, Grizzlies.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, nice, Goldie. Hold on.
Maybe you guys could become a minority owner.
Oh.
I was approached there's this there's a big feud with Alex Rodriguez and Mark
Yeah.
Laurie.
It's in
They
the
had
article.
a 3-year plan, and then the owner Glenn Taylor pulled it off the table. So now there'll be some legal battles. But I got approached to put in a little bit of money, like under $500K or whatever. But they needed a bunch of money from this group.
And you have to do it tonight. Is that what A-Rod said?
Well, it was, you know what it was, honestly, because I found it fascinating because I'm like, but it wasn't, okay, I'm going to tell you something. It wasn't the return that the other NBA, it was this group that controlled your return. So your return was 10%. There were fees.
That's good.
But it wasn't, no, because the return, the real returns are 35% on these things annually for all. The average for the NBA franchise each year I read is 35% return.
Wow.
And I was just like, no. And then they said you can't get out right away. You got to wait 7 years and you have to be able to sell to somebody. But I just thought it was too many. They controlled too much and the fees were too high.
Do you get to then be at whatever seat you want?
Well,
I mean, what comes with
the
it?
whole appeal was something I already have. It was access to the coaches and the players. And
Right.
you don't even get courtside seats. I'm getting better courtside seats than minority owners of the Timberwolves right now.
Oh, wow.
I mean, maybe if you guys worked a little harder and had your own show, you might be able to.
Well, let me ask you another life. This is another life gorgeous question I've prepared. So you're in a restaurant.
Yeah.
Explain to us how you approach the menu for your order.
First of all,
Settling breath.
exhale. Make sure the hand mirror is back in the car. Don't want to have it. I don't want it broken at the bar. So I have a vodka martini at the bar. I look at the menu.
And is it always vodka? Are you ever tempted to say veer to a mojito?
I would never. No, if I was 23 years old, maybe, but I'm not doing.
What if I'm a bartender and I say we have a signature cocktail?
No, I don't.
Will you listen?
No, I don't care, but I don't need sugar in my drink. I'm pretty simple that way.
So there'll never be a margarita.
It's red wine or
never.
vodka. Now, what's that?
There'll never be a margarita.
I tell you what I did recently. I had a dinner in Minneapolis with Dave McMenamin and Charlie and my friend Jim. That was the one he referenced, and we were at the Lexington. And because we were having fun, it was, let's go up on the rooftop. They have a bar up there, and let's just shoot the breeze there. And I think I had a tequila. I'll do a tequila once in a while because I don't do scotch after dinner. Scotch was my go-to in my 30s. So I will occasionally have tequila on the rocks. Anywho, I look at the appetizers, I look at the salads, I look at the entrees, and I start thinking about what I'm going to do. I look at the whole. I see the floor.
Is there ever a situation, because this is something that my wife and I do, is the entrees to us are all chalk, right? Like the entrees are going to be what the entrees are going to be in these restaurants. You're going to get, like some kind of steak and some kind of sea bass or whatever. So we just conjure up from appetizers and salads an entire dinner for ourselves.
Okay, that's a great. So just not to say I'm ahead of anybody, but in the 90s, I went to Bobby Flay's Mesa Grill, and I said, we're not ordering entrees because, it's going to be a lump of meat or the fish.
Yeah.
We're going to have all these flavors, and we're just ordering apps.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So I did that, I don't know how many years ago.
Did you
30
invent
years
apps?
ago.
Did you create apps?
Yes.
Back in the 90s.
Appetizers.
Appetizers, apps, and so they're more flavorful, they're fun, and so it's part of it's called living. I always like saying that. I think Ted Jessup liked when I would say it's called living.
It's called living.
But you know where I got it from? Sadly, from a kind of a negative place. There was this blonde woman who was you'd know her name if I said it, but she was an intense exercise person who was popular, I think, in the 90s. And she was doing interviews. She says, did I have problems? Did I have drug problems? Was I addicted? Yes, it's called living. And it was really irritating. She was saying her roller coaster was irritating, or it's called living. And I'm saying, I like to take naps and I like to wear cashmere sweaters. It's called living. So I say it in a different way than this cranky lady.
Well, now let's talk about for a minute. We talked about it a little bit before we started. Let's get into a deep dive of what's over your shoulder.
Oh.
Right now, the Conquistador. Is there a story behind this lamp?
The story is I had purchased the house 1712 North Crescent Heights, the Dennis Hopper house.
Yeah.
2 weeks after I purchased it, there was Fred Siegel were selling T-shirts called 1712 North Crescent Heights because there was a book, a photography book by his daughter called 1712 North Crescent Heights. Book of photography by Dennis Hopper. And at the time, I had not yet met Princess Cherry. I had a interior designer by the name of Martin Lawrence Bullard.
Oh, I remember this name.
Yes, and he is now blown up, and he now owns 1712 North Crescent Heights. He purchased the house, and he's made some changes to it. Check out
Kind of
his
a
Instagram.
salt burn.
Yeah. He loved the house. I didn't sell it to him. I sold it to a guy on the East Coast who then sold it to him. But we were down on there was a shop on La Brea. They had a bunch of furniture places, and they had this the store with these. They would make, these are mica shades, and they would take these mica shades and put them on these little bronze statues and figures, and they would sell them for quite a price. I remember, I guess I can say that we're not talking salaries, we're just talking price. So that's $8,000 back in the day.
For a lamp?
But this is what I remember.
Worth it.
He would charge 10% or whatever, if he helped me find it. And I just wasn't going to do it. And at one point, now he made a crap load of money. He made couches for me. He made the furniture for me, all this kind of stuff.
Like when you moved here, what did you think was the maximum anyone could pay for a lamp?
I know.
Right. That's a good
Well,
point.
the thing is, he did say to me, if you really want to buy the lamp, just go ahead. So I did it. I bought the lamp without
That's right.
paying that commission. And I
Yeah,
I like to
Midwestern
say,
baby.
I did this
Midwest.
joke when I was talking about not working.
I like in LA, even your furniture, it's taking a commission on you.
I know.
Totally.
I like to say now I live off the 10% commission I don't pay. I just,
It's true.
Well, we would be remiss in our job here if we didn't settle for a moment on your Instagram. From day one when you started this, Goldie and I have been big fans of this. What do you think it is about Instagram that unlocks Kilby?
Ooh.
well, tell people
We've talked
that
about
with
this.
the podcast, I'm not trying to conquer the world. Everyone has a podcast. I was late to the game, but I always say I find Instagram infinitely more creative. And I say I can just put a picture of myself up, which I enjoy doing, and then write a little quip.
Yes.
I feel, and it's just I feel good about myself today. Look at my
I
my
know.
skin is it glowing?
It
And then choose a
is.
different word. Is it blank or what?
Body fat percentage. Always good.
It's just, and then I get to choose music, and I choose French music sometimes. It just makes me laugh. It's just like, and I think about, this is the problem. I think about like Wally Zerbiak follows me. What's Wally thinking about all this weird stuff? or there are guys that are really nice people that follow me, and they're like, what's wrong with Kilborn? What's he doing right now? Because my main thing is, I know Goldie and Gibby will like it, and Goldie and Alec will like it. So
Oh yeah.
they don't
We love
say
get it.
We
they don't
love
say
it.
Kilby's being too weird. They go,
Do you
bring
feel
on the weird,
pressure?
man.
Do you feel
Yes.
pressure of like,
Please
I
do.
haven't posted in a day or something? Like, is it that old late night talk show irritation? Does that ever come up?
Yeah, at the beginning, I really took it seriously when I first started, because I got to do it every 3 days. Got to come up with a gym.
Yeah.
And we were actually talking, the three of us, and it was like, once you do something really good, then there's that pressure. You got to keep doing it. So
Right. Or that, like, are you going to take the Instagram and we could do a show of where your lifestyle,
Right.
like, does that ever come up where you feel like you're being dragged into something else because of
No, it's now kind of pressure free, because I think there was a time when I go, I'm not posting for a while. I'm not in the mood. And it may have been up to 2 weeks. I'm not sure, but it's not a job. So there's no pressure
Right.
on me.
Yeah.
And, but it's very satisfying. I do say it's one of the most satisfying things I've done. It's easy. It's satisfying. And you guys are always, you guys will do the little heart. I know you guys see it. So I know you get a
Yes.
kick
Oh, we
out of
love
some
it.
of the
We
things.
love it.
I mean, Alec, I did the story on Rich Eisen about basking instead of meditating. You know how Seinfeld meditates, and I did basking. And Alec wrote something to the effect of, "Can we be honest and say he's been peaking for 30 years?"
Yes. It's so true. And I had that thought, honestly. Like, I was watching it and I'm like, oh my God, he's still absolutely peak Kilborn. It's so fun to watch.
Do you miss any element of like, does any part of you go, oh, I'd like to be on an NBA sports show?
No.
Or they're talking
That's
about
awesome.
stuff.
There's going to be an opportunity for you,
Well,
with
there
the-
always are.
I know there always is, but with the NBA on TNT, which I think is one of the funniest shows on television, I'm
Yeah.
not alone in this. They're breaking up. They're gonna come knocking.
Right. Well, no, I'm not in there. I tell
Wouldn't that be
people there's
fun,
not a
though?
lot I'm interested in doing. I will definitely write a book because, and I know Alec has said it's a lot of work, and you're right, but I can make it where it's not as much work because I can just have chapters as short or as long as I want on the happy childhood, a chapter on leadership, a chapter on my time in San Francisco, what I'm
Nice.
wearing today. I can make it humorous, and I can also, so I'll have fun writing the book. But no, there's not a lot I want to do. I will say, I'm a big fan of Ernie Johnson, and I could never. It wouldn't work if I was doing what Ernie Johnson did with.
No.
First of all,
Those guys?
Shaq knows that I didn't like him as a player. And these guys
funny.
think they're cool, and Ernie, is more reserved than they are. And I think I'm cool, so our coolness would hit each other. It's like, come on, Shaq, what about Arvidas? You can't guard him. And he would hit me, and it would be over.
No, but I think they
it
would
would be
shake it
great.
up, and it would be an entirely different crew. I don't think you'd be looking at Shaq. I think
Right.
and also I agree with you because Ernie is like a traffic cop out there, and he's great at it.
Right.
But you have more to contribute as someone who knows the game so well and played it, and also as someone who
charisma as well.
has a comedy background.
Do you think I would be able to keep my job if I said, Draymond, you're a clown? Shut up.
Yeah.
No, they would want that.
that they would? Yeah.
Yeah.
you would give 'em-
Do you guys like him? I can't stand him. He's so undisciplined. He has a personal vendetta against Rudy Gobert. I
But
know a lot
everyone
of
does.
Everyone
Everyone.
does. Is it because
Everyone
he's
does.
French, or is it because he's offensively he's not
He
polished?
gave
Why-
the world
he
COVID.
gave everyone
Oh.
COVID.
Okay.
That's the thing I remember about him.
Do you feel like you are owed an apology about the Rudy Gobert trade because you were in favor of it? They seem to have really improved themselves, and everyone came down on it. And
Good question.
Yeah, it's weird. I always wonder, do these guys
you were the
have to-
lone voice.
Do they believe what they're saying, or are they just doing a hot take because it's more entertaining? That's the question. Like when Skip Bayless and Bill Simmons and all these guys are reacting, are they more popular because this is maybe the worst trade in history?
Right.
This is maybe the
Right.
Timberwolves are choking right now.
Right.
Karl Anthony Towns should not be on the floor. I mean, I don't know. They just go crazy.
Yeah.
Well, when you watch a game, right, and the Timberwolves are down 0-3, and then people will say, I don't know, why don't they go small or whatever, as though the coaches don't think of that. And the coaches, I mean, they've gone through every possibility, right? Like they're not just being stubborn and stupid for the most part. Do you think, or like, do they think like fans, like? Hey, I'm watching this game. Why don't I get crazy and shake it up?
Text this morning. Dave McMenamin, my friend Charlie. Dave sends the picture of the dunk by Ant. Says, well, at least you guys have this from the series. And my friend Charlie intimated that Jason Kidd might be dunking on Finch, out coaching him. And then I said, well, I didn't know Finch was responsible for Cat. That's the real problem.
Yeah.
Kyrie and Luka will frustrate many coaches. Cat is completely missing in action. And still the games are tied in the last 2 minutes. And then Charlie goes on a little rant about the coach is responsible for defensive schemes. He's responsible for not calling an offensive play and for not letting them dunk all the time on us on the alley-oops. And then I wrote, I don't want Dave to see this bickering. He's laughing at us. He's manipulated us. Ant didn't rotate to PJ Washington for the corner three. He fell asleep. And then, of course, Dave just laughs at us. So this is part of sports, overanalyzing the coach. They've thought of everything. And the other thing is they tell people, they will say, don't foul here, don't do this, step back. And the players don't always do it. If it was that simple, it would be easier. But
Right.
the coaches do instruct properly. Now, they are.
Do you feel like when you would watch a Mike Grayson and also be in the bit, and were there things that you felt Alec was doing wrong as a coach, but you can't then stop down the bit in that moment?
I never liked when he wore flip-flops to the office, but what are you going to do?
I love that you had an answer ready right away.
I didn't like his overall laissez-faire attitude.
Yes.
Like, I'm going bigger places than this. I'm just going to coast right now. I never really. I didn't like the fact he didn't like Mexican food. He never gave me a good reason. There are a lot of things about Alex Shelton that drive me crazy. And I'll tell you one of them, Goldie.
Yeah.
I took
There's
him
more?
I told him to a Wolves Laker game, and he didn't like slow-mo. He didn't understand the game. Kyle
Wow.
Anderson.
Was he
moves at
wearing
his own
sneakers or
speed.
was he wearing flip-flops?
No, this is post flip-flop era. Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought up slow-mo. So for those who don't know, and that's probably most of you, slow-mo is the nickname for, and I don't even know his first name.
Kyle Anderson.
Kyle
Oh.
Anderson.
Oh, yeah.
He's on the Wolves. He was, I think he was a starter last year, and now he's kind of coming off the bench. But he is, as his nickname describes, very slow and methodical on the court, and I just could not get over because you were talking about him before the game, and then I watched him and I said, what am I watching?
Here's
here?
what happened. So he was not a starter unless Cat got hurt, and Cat did get hurt, so he started last year. But he is a bench player who has a good high basketball IQ because he played point guard at some point. He's from the New Jersey area, and he played at UCLA, and he's played for Popovich in San Antonio, and he's played for Memphis. But he's a really good passer. He has a weird, like when I went to practice this year in LA, I was talking to Finchy afterwards, and they were shooting around, and I said, "Can I go talk to Slow-Mo and get the hitch out of his shot?" And Finchy says, "Good luck with that." But he doesn't shoot well beyond 12 feet. He also has an eye injury from last year.
It's getting better and better.
When Ant accidentally hit him in the eye, he had eye surgery. But he passes well. He plays really good defense. I've seen him strip Ja Morant and Luka. He's just a fun, cerebral player. And he had a great game the other day. And Finchy said, I need to play Kyle more. But what happened was Alec would see him drive the lane. It looked like he was going to go in for a layup. And then he would slow down and then kick it out to somebody.
Yep.
And Alec's like, oh, this guy can't play. He's afraid to shoot. But he liked to drive and draw and kick. And I don't know if you guys remember Boris Diaw, but he played a little bit like Boris Diaw.
Mozart's Third Symphony. Oh, rest in peace.
Well, that's
Bill
some.
Walton.
Maybe we can finish on Bill Walton.
Yeah.
Because he passed away yesterday, and I
Sadly.
did want to get your thoughts on it because I loved Bill Walton, and I actually, one of my early stand-up bits that was not successful, but was about like him just getting nostalgic for things that no one cared about. Where you'd be watching a game and he would be like, "Where are the John Concacks of today? Where are the Tree Rollinses?
The Jack Sigmas.
Why don't pencils have erasers like they used to? They're all mechanical." You know, like he just seemed to get that the whole thing was a bit,
right?
But to also really approach things with a genuine passion and childlike sort of joy.
Totally agree. So I loved him, and I interviewed him a few times on the Late Late Show, and I've told stories about him. So yesterday was stunning because none of us knew he was battling anything, and he was 71, and my brother couldn't believe it. He texted me, and we were sending back and forth little stories about him, like when he beat Kevin McHale one-on-one in practice once, when at the end of his career when he was on the Celtics. And when I interviewed him, I introduced him as the greatest college basketball player of all time because he had gone 21 of 22 at UCLA. And he sat down, he says, I am not the greatest. That is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at UCLA. So he corrected me. But you talk about the life gorgeous, which is a positive attitude. I was watching Stephen A. this morning, said he would always say, "Where's that smile, Stephen A?" He smiled, he laughed, positive energy, extremely passionate about life. And I loved him. And I made Princess Cherry and I yesterday rewatch the UCLA Dynasty documentary yesterday with Liev Schreiber.
Yeah.
And there's another unrelated to Bill, but about John Wooden, which is a quote I still like. John Wooden came from the Midwest out to Los Angeles, Southern Cal, with three things his father told him: don't complain, drink deeply from good books, and make each day your masterpiece. And I love that. And then Walton, of course, sums it up in the documentary. He goes, there were a lot of players there, and there was a lot of great teams, but the one constant was John Wooden.
Yeah.
And the fact that he would protest and John Wooden had to come pick him up in jail and say, Bill, what if there was an ambulance trying to get you're blocking the street, you're blocking traffic. What if someone was dying and they had to go to the hospital? He goes, well, I didn't think of that, coach. I just love the opposites of John Wooden and Bill Walton,
Yeah. He was a great one.
Really sweet.
We loved him. Obviously, that 86 Celtics team might have been the best ever.
That's true. Someone said that this morning.
Yeah.
Michael Wilbon said that this morning. That might be the greatest team.
I really would put them up against, maybe what Jordan's 96 Bulls. They were really good.
As an unbiased guy, because I always thought the Showtime Lakers were the best, and I wanted to say the Celtics of the 80s because my argument was the Bulls were not as good as those teams because of the 4-team expansion where the talent was somewhat diluted in the 90s. But I also do it because I like underdogs, and I just thought the hype on the Bulls and Jordan was too much. Anyway.
I love it.
I love that too.
Craig, we love when you come on and talk to us. We love that you are getting your flowers nationally as the face of this franchise that is on the come. I mean, anything but the conference finals next year is a failure, which is a great place to be in. So thank you for coming to talk to us.
Thank you, guys. Always good to see you. JC, you're one of my favorites.
Yay, same.
Wait a minute. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, let me give Craig a farewell exhale. God, we love him.
He's the best.
He's the best. And Goldie, he pulled us both out of the slop. It's funny. He said before the interview, before you got on, he was saying it's so funny. You and Goldie, you love to talk about Late Late Show. He's like, that's how you remember me. I'm like, yeah, we remember you as the surgeon who saved our lives. So forgive us if we talk about that
part of your life. Yeah,
exactly. He's great.
Yeah.
And next week we have a guest, John Reinman, who is a writer for The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. So we'll get another
book coming
fun. Out. He's got a book coming out. So
yes,
we'll talk to him about the book. And I think the book is about the Celtics, if I recall. I think that was his reach out, that he's writing a book about the Celtics, which is very timely as they're now in the finals. Cool. But now let's get to a portion of the show that we like to call Top 5. Top 5.
Has there ever been an easier path to the finals where the team did virtually nothing to get there?
It's been...
They swept this
and
last
we
one, right?
we sort of texted about this. It's like, I love Boston sports, and I used to be totally consumed by it, but this Celtics team, I hope they win, but there's something just very lackluster about them.
Yeah, I won an Oscar. Oh, what was the best movie that year? Silver Linings Playbook.
That was never Best Picture, so don't even give them that. Yeah, The Artist. All right, JC, this was your category this week, and tell us what we're top 5-ing about.
Top 5 euphemisms.
Yes.
Which is funny because I actually learned exactly what a euphemism was.
All right.
In my mind, I thought
so.
I thought it was anyway. Here
it
they
can be
are.
Whatever we say it is right now.
Preach. Okay. Number 5. I found this topic to be difficult, but thank you, Louie, for suggesting it.
Yeah.
Number 5, 420. 420, which means smoking
Let's
weed.
Get high.
Yeah. Number 4, when someone is not necessarily just has like a grumpy demeanor. I usually.
What made you think of this?
I usually say, isn't generous with a smile.
Oh, that's nice. I like that one.
Yes, I say that one often.
I like that one.
And I say this one when, and I purposefully mess it up. I'm sure lots of people do this when someone's kind of not as smart as others, is stupid, or that's the S word. I don't think you're allowed to say that. Kids aren't allowed to say the S word anymore.
I think we'll allow it.
Not the brightest tool in the shed.
Well, that's not
sharpest.
I know, but I just said I purposefully mess it up because of what it means. So
Got it.
Okay.
Okay. Number 2, I guess for the same meaning, dropped one too many times as a child.
Oh, yeah.
That's good.
I like that.
And then when I was a plus size model, I heard every single polite way to say someone is, fat.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
My favorite, and I've used it, I think you've used it, is zaftig.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
zaftig. I found that like very elegant, and it makes, feels pretty. I don't know why.
I like those.
Okay,
All right. Well,
thank you.
we have thematic crossover, so
Oh,
you'll
okay.
see what I mean.
Okay, cool.
Number 5 is an English euphemism for your ass, and it's your sit upon,
Ooh, your
which
sit
I
upon.
love.
That is
It's
good.
just very nice sit upon.
My sit upon.
And Goldie, number 4, this was something that you and I used to use when we would talk about getting stoned. Put on a master's jacket.
Yeah.
Wow,
love
that's
that.
great because it's
Yeah.
green.
Yep. Yep. Number 3, and this is one given to us by the French, along with the Statue of Liberty, which we appreciate. Thank you very much, France. This was, it's called l'esprit d'escalier. And I love this because it means the spirit of the staircase. And it's when you leave a party and realize exactly what you should have said at a certain moment, but you don't
that's
remember
good.
it until you're walking out.
Yes,
which
that's
happens
a good one.
all the time. So I love that one. Number 2, and we can shout out our good friend and listener John Fogarty, because this came from his father. Was the first time I had heard it, which is when he was talking about that he had gotten drunk at some dinner, and he said, "I was overserved."
Yeah.
Nice.
So I love that one. And of course, number 1. Is it a euphemism? It lives sort of in the area. When you call someone a real see you next Tuesday.
Yeah,
I think
there you go.
I love that one.
That's good.
All right, Goldie,
Those are good.
take it.
Number 5, I don't pee, I drain the main vein.
Yes, you do.
Number 4 is a terminology for having an affair with someone who looks exactly like the person you're cheating on. Busman's holiday.
I've never heard that.
Great one, yeah. Because it's like a busman, so you're driving the bus and then you're just taking a bus somewhere on holiday. This guy's doing my job. Number 3, on the rag.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Number
And
2, this
flow.
is a Mike Lombardiism. So far behind, he thinks he's in first.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so
Yep.
good.
Yep,
And
that's a
I
good
find
one.
myself thinking that a lot. And number 1, hey gown.
Oh, yeah.
Hey gown!
There it is. What a great
And keep-
list.
Keep your finger near that soundboard. Keep it on Danny Smith, because next week's top 5, the top 5 goosebumps moments of your life.
Woo.
Yeah, I got goosebumps just thinking about it.
Oh, wow.
God, that's going to be hard to remember anything, as it always is for me.
I
But
mean,
that's-
it shouldn't be, because I'll just tell, as I was walking around today, I was thinking, I'm giving one away, whatever. The launch of the first space shuttle.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
It can be
cool, cool, cool.
personal,
I love
birth
it.
of a child,
Okay,
whatever. But
yeah,
it can also just be
Now there are more coming now. Okay, that's good. That's good.
2004 Red Sox, dude.
Yep, that was one of them. One of them. I got goosebumps just thinking about it. All right, well, that'll be fun next week as we
Yeah,
talk
good
to John Reinman from The Tonight Show. So thank you all for listening. Thank you, too, for being awesome.
Thank
and
you.
We will talk to you again next week.
Oh, good.
Typical disgusting display.
That was fun.
And it stops right now.
So you're halfway there.
You bet your ass.
Did you invent apps?
It's called living. Bring on the weird, man.